Hi, this is Curious Mystics Podcast. Together we explore the mysteries of the spiritual world, sometimes boldly,
sometimes cautiously,
but always with open hearts
and curious minds.
See you soon. Good morning and welcome back. It's Erica.
And Kim.
And it's Curious Mystics Podcast on a wintry morning.
The cold that it has been bone chilling, and I am not here for it.
And it kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I feel like it wasn't, and then it was all of a sudden, yep, now it's 10 degrees. It's like...
Yeah. Yeah, the beginning of this month, or even like the end of last month, it was like, oh, it's cold, but it's like 40, 30, no big deal. And then all of a sudden we had that like 10-degree night, and now it's just cold all the time.
I mean, it's December. I guess it's allowed to be.
Yeah.
I know. So, how's it going?
It's going. I am, as we discussed, on the struggle bus this morning and really trying to just reset for myself.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is our reset time right now. Like, get into it.
I do always feel better after we've recorded, so
Me too.
Maybe that's just what I need today.
Exactly. I was trying to think, like, what has been going on? I mean, we haven't met in a couple of weeks, you and I, because we had Thanksgiving and everything. But we had the last supermoon of the season, of the year. That was the, oh my gosh, what was it called? What moon was that?
I don't know the names of the moons. I get confused because the moon, the harvest moon, is sometimes not the harvest moon.
Yeah. The last one was Beaver Moon. I forget what this one was. Yeah. But anyway, it was the last supermoon of the year. It was going into Gemini, and I think that's been a little bit like...
Yeah.
A little... I mean, I live in Gemini energy, but I think it might be a little bit off-putting for some people. But I did a really good release and call-in / thing for that moon. But it was also supposed to be 10 degrees at night, so I did not put my water outside. I put it on the ledge because I was like, I don't want my water to like freeze and explode my glass jar or something. So.
Yeah. And it definitely would have. I saw lots and lots of people who had left their water outside and it froze. And a lot of them made like these pretty little orbs. But...
Yeah. I was just afraid it was going to break. I didn't want it to break. But yeah, so it was really cool. It was beautiful. I mean, I could actually see, like, the sky was pretty clear too. So.
Yes. Yes. That kind of goes into what we're going to be talking about today.
Ooh, cool.
We are going to talk a little bit about the winter stars.
Ooh.
So I think I've said this before, the winter night sky is gorgeous. It is so beautiful. It's like one of my favorite things to stare at, really get lost in. But there's so many things about it that, you know, sometimes can be like overlooked or not understood or that we could use for different purposes. So we'll talk a little bit about that today.
Nice.
When you think about the stars and how long people and society have been watching them, learning about them, using them, it's definitely as long as we've had documented, like, written history, and I would very confidently say for much, much long before that.
Yeah, I mean, people have been looking at, like, using the night sky and monitoring it and noticing the changes of it for years, like thousands of years. I mean, I guess if you think about it, at night there wasn't much else to look at and do. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So we know that, you know, you can look at the stars for like guidance and navigation. You can look at the stars and figure out if seasonal changes are coming and you need to do any preparation for changes. And then, of course, like the spiritual and mythical side of things, especially when we're talking about constellations. So the winter sky in the northern hemisphere is clearer than the summer sky, and that has to do with the temperature. The cold temperature tends to clear up, you know, all of like the energy, the heat that heat provides. So it's much easier to see the stars in the winter, even from a city, even from like my home. This is a city and lots of light pollution, and even here we can pretty clearly see at least the very bright stars, but obviously the further away you get from the city, the better view you have. So let's talk about a little bit of some of the specific stars or constellations or things that you can look out for. And before I start this, I just wanted to highlight, I think most people very clearly know the 12 constellations of the zodiac. There are a total of 88 constellations in the sky. 88 official constellations in the sky. So 12 of them are of the zodiac and the rest are not. And I say official because scientists have unofficially started looking at things that we can't see with the naked eye. So things like X-rays or gamma rays, and then finding unofficial constellations in those. But we're not going to touch on any of those today.
All right.
The most prominent one that I wanted to start with is Orion. Because it's pretty clear that when you see Orion's belt and then you can find the rest of the constellation, that you can use that for so many different purposes, as most people do.
It's one of my favorites because, like, one, it's very recognizable, and two, it's just cool. I remember growing up in Ohio, I remember only ever seeing, like, the belt most of the time, but since living here, I've actually seen, like, the whole, almost the whole
constellation.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So this one's prominently a winter constellation in the northern hemisphere because during the summer months, specifically like later summer, so like July to September, it's out during the day, so you can't see it at night. In the southern hemisphere, it can be seen at night all year round, which is interesting. But Orion is known as the hunter. And the three stars that people tend to highlight first, recognizing his belt, you can then highlight the other stars that come up. Some of the other notable stars are Betelgeuse and Rigel, and both of those are two of the 10 brightest stars in our universe. Interesting fact. I don't remember if you came with us to this one time that we went to the observatory at the school, but this one, she was talking about how Betelgeuse is, while not completely known when this is going to happen, it is predicted that that will be the next star to explode, to die.
Interesting.
And potentially in our lifetime.
Okay.
And if that happens, then we will be able to see it from Earth. It will be so bright that it will light up the daytime sky for like months.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But isn't it though, like like they're so far away, it's like it actually happens, but then we'll see it like years later or something?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's not anything that should be super disruptive to Earth, but it is a very hot, very fast forming star. So it's going through its lifespan very quickly. Orion is a constellation that's well known with multiple important stars. Like I just mentioned, it has two of the brightest of the 10 brightest stars. It also contains a complex star system. So one of the stars on the belt is actually multiple stars, but we can only see it as one because of how bright and how far it is. So it has a complex star system. It also contains the Orion Nebula. So if you're looking at the constellation and you can picture where the sword of the hunter would be, right underneath the belt, that is where the Orion Nebula actually is. And on a very clear night, you can see that kind of unaided, but with binoculars you can also see it. This nebula is a nebula that forms new stars, so it is the closest star forming region to Earth.
Okay, cool. I had didn't know about the nebula. 2, I didn't know that's what a nebula was. And 3, awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. And then there's also, which we can't see from the unaided eye, but it also, you can find, if you're looking at it with specific type of gear, you can see some exoplanets, so planets that are not in our galaxy, which is pretty cool. So from that perspective, I think it's a pretty cool constellation to be looking at, just from purely physical. When you think about placement and navigation, the way that the belt tilts lets you know. From the northern hemisphere, the belt tilts south, so it lets you know which direction is south.
Okay.
From the southern hemisphere, it lets you know which direction is north. It also lets you know where other constellations are if you know where to look, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But on the other side of things, there's like the history or the story behind it all. So in some Greek mythologies, Orion is the giant son of Poseidon, which is the Greek god of the sea, and he's known as the hunter. There are some versions that don't state that Orion is the son of Poseidon and that he was formed in other ways. So there are some changes in that, but all of them know him as the hunter. And he is not always seen as a benevolent or good character. And there's lots of different, especially in Greek mythos, there's lots of different stories that show that when Zeus placed the constellations in the sky, when he placed Orion in the sky, it was to be in constant hunt of never being able to catch whatever other constellation. There are several of them. But thinking about it from a spiritual perspective, if we're trying to do any sort of energy work, if we're trying to do anything that has to do with like manifestation and affirmations and bringing in certain energies, you may want to look to Orion or Orion stories for some of those lessons or precautions, or to think about the desired energy that you're looking for. And I think that's an important piece that sometimes people overlook. If we're thinking about how we're using the energy around us, this is just as important because, you know, especially if we're talking about like the winter sky or the summer sky or whichever other version of it, you're not always going to see Orion in the sky. And when you do see Orion in the sky, then you can maybe use that as part of your working in some way. In some cultures, when they begin to see Orion's belt low, in like on the horizon in the night sky, they know that winter's approaching and can prepare for the changing of seasons.
I like that.
Yeah. So that's something else that, you know, just observing the sky lets you know, like, hey, what's the timing of things, or how soon can we start to predict these things to happen? Kind of going along with Orion is Canis Major, so the greater dog. And this constellation can be found right next to Orion in the night sky. So it is a part of a much larger hunting scene in the night sky. There's Orion, there's the greater dog, there's the minor dog, there's a couple other constellations that are part of this hunting scene. This constellation includes the star Sirius, which is the brightest star in Earth's sky, period. Sometimes people get that confused with Polaris, which is the North Star. The North Star is a fixed point. So it's the brightest star that is fixed. It does not move throughout the year, so that you can always tell which way is north. But Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky. Hey friends, we just wanted to take a moment to remind you all that you can interact with us on social media. We can be found at Curious Mystics Podcast on all platforms.
And if you haven't already, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share so that we can keep showing up for you guys with new weekly episodes and content. Thank you for hanging out with us so far, and stay curious. Okay, I guess I didn't realize the North Star was fixed like that.
Yeah.
I probably learned that at some point, but like I don't think I knew that. That's cool.
Yeah, I think that we probably all heard that at some point, and then just kind of like, I know I get confused because I'll think, oh, the brightest star, that's the North Star.
Right.
But that's not necessarily true. So, Canis Major in different constellations in different cultures is viewed differently. So in some, like the Greek mythology, it is considered to be a constellation that forms a dog. And this dog can theoretically hunt and catch any prey that it is looking to hunt and catch. until Zeus put it in the sky. And now it is forever going to be hunting its prey and not catching it. In ancient Mesopotamian cultures, this constellation was not viewed as a dog, but instead was viewed as a bow and arrow. In ancient Egyptian culture, they would watch not specifically the entire constellation, but the star Sirius, because when they could see it in the early dawn sky, it signified the Nile would soon flood, and that would begin the harvest season.
Okay.
So it's just interesting to note that, like, a lot of things, at least in my own experience, a lot of things that I've known about constellations have come from the Greek mythology, and there are many other cultures that have their own views on the constellations, and it's not that the constellations aren't there, but they use them in different ways, or they see them differently. It's kind of like looking at a cloud and seeing different shapes in it.
Yep, different interpretations.
Yeah. And that would also kind of highlight, like, what it might be used for. If you're looking at the dog, the Canis Major, and seeing it as a dog, then if you're using it in any workings, you might be pulling traits of that perspective, versus if you're seeing it as a bow and arrow, or if you're not seeing the whole constellation, but you're just seeing the specific stars in it. What does that mean for, its significance to your working?
Right, yeah. I feel like if you're not looking at it as a constellation, that you might not put as much significance to it.
Yeah.
Versus just, like, looking at one star.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, if I'm looking at it as a dog, then maybe the working is going to incorporate some sort of strength, some sort of consistency, some sort of reliability, some sort of, well-known trait of, like, dogs.
Yeah, loyalty.
Yeah, definitely. So those two, the Orion and Canis Major, definitely you can kind of spot them together. The rest of these you can spot, they're all pretty close, at least from our perspective. They're all very far apart from each other in the sky, in reality, but from our perspective, they're pretty close. But those two do go together to complete a scene. If you're looking on the other side of Orion, then you might find Gemini, the constellation of Gemini, which is the twins, as most people know. So the twins, Castor and Pollux, in Greek mythology, share immortality. Castor and Pollux have the same mother. They have different fathers. Castor was mortal. His father was human. Pollux, his father was Zeus. The twins did everything together. They were inseparable. They got into a fight. Castor died. And when he died, Pollux was so grief-stricken that he asked Zeus to take away his immortality so he could join his brother. And Zeus said, you guys can share immortality. So, two brothers, one life. You kind of see the whole Gemini thing. Spiritually, the story of Gemini, how they lived, how they died, I think this could be used or interpreted for inspiration in any workings that you might be doing. And you're really looking at, like, love, loyalty, sacrifice, rescue, mortality, immortality. There's so many different aspects to that story that can kind of be pulled upon. And it's a pretty well-known one. As far as, like, navigation and where you are, or trying to figure out where you are, Gemini might be used more for, like, confirmation. I think I see Orion's belt. Oh, I see Gemini. Yeah, that must be Orion's belt. Orion was really much more of the constellation to help navigate you in any direction. Associated with all of these, as far as, like, navigation is concerned, is also, like, the Big Dipper and Little Dipper. So if you're questioning if you've found the constellation you think you found and you see Gemini, you might also be able to just confirm that you're looking at what you think you are.
That's good to know.
Yes. As I mentioned before, Sirius, so that is the brightest star in the night sky. That is part of the constellation Canis Major. Polaris is the North Star. That is part of the Little Dipper. So if you find the Big Dipper, you can find the Little Dipper, and at the end of the Little Dipper is the North Star. And then this is kind of like the last one that I wanted to go over because it's really significant. There are a bunch of stars that are prevalent in the night sky in winter that I think are important to kind of get to know. But there are so many histories behind them, so many stories associated with them, so much mythos behind them that I think you kind of want to like dip your toes in and figure out which ones you want to pull apart a little bit more. But the constellation of Taurus, which is the bull, is one of the most well-known and noticeable constellations in the night sky, being because it is one of the largest. It is the 17th largest of all the constellations. So out of 88 of them, it is pretty huge. And of the 12 zodiac constellations, it's the 6th largest. So it's a really big constellation. It also contains so many different things. So in Gemini, we talked about that containing the nebula and the star cluster. In Taurus, there are multiple star clusters. There's a planetary nebula. There's a bright red star. There's so many different things that are contained in this constellation. Interesting thing about the star clusters there, it contains the star clusters of Pleiades, which is the Seven Sisters.
Yeah.
In Japanese, this is Subaru.
Oh, interesting.
So when you see the car Subaru, it is referring to the Seven Sisters.
Oh, yeah, they do have the star on their logo.
Of note, and I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this, but they have 6 stars on their logo instead of 7, even though it's the Seven Sisters. But it is what it is.
You know.
Whatever happened there? One got lost. I don't know.
It didn't fit in the circle.
Yeah. The Seven Sisters has many different stories and purposes. So the constellation of Taurus is one that you could definitely pull apart and highlight just certain aspects of it, right? And so if we're looking at the Seven Sisters, in Viking and Polynesian cultures, they would use the Seven Sisters as navigation points. If they could see that, they knew what direction they were going in or where they needed to be going. In Andean cultures, they would look to the Seven Sisters to let them know when to celebrate the time of harvest. If we can see it, we know that harvest season is coming. In Berbers of East Africa, they used the Seven Sisters to tell the changing of seasons. I can see where they are in the sky, so that tells me what season it is right now.
Yeah.
Or that it will be coming.
Right.
In Aboriginal Australians and Greek mythology, there's the story of the Seven Sisters being constantly chased and harassed by an unwanted man. In Greek culture, that unwanted man was Orion. So you can see that in the night sky, he is chasing them in this constellation. So looking at the history of things, looking at the stories that were told, looking at the purposes for use, whether it's to look at the changing of seasons, whether it's to find navigation, whether it's to confirm where other placements are, you can see that there's a lot to be gained from the night sky. On top of it's beautiful. As cold as it is right now, as much as I don't like being outside, I will spend time out there just looking up at the night sky. And because it gets dark early enough, I can do that early enough.
Right, yeah, you don't have to wait till like midnight to stand out there and see everything.
Yeah, midnight is way past my bedtime. So in the summer, when like the time of like 2-3 a.m. is when the night sky is clearest, I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't want to get up and do that, but now it's great time. I mean, even looking at things like other planets, I saw Jupiter the other night, and that was the first time I could see it with my naked eye. To see it a little bit more clearly, I had to pull out my binoculars. But it was like really interesting to look at. And,
oh, awesome.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool things that can be gained from that. So the next time you're curious, I think just step outside.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about being outside in the night in general, but being outside in the night in like that crisp, cool air.
Yes. Yeah.
It feels different and it sounds different. Like you could hear, I feel like I hear different sounds. Like the trees make different noises, and you can hear, like if there's ice, you can hear like ice moving, or if like the wind whips through differently because they're not going through leaves, it's going through the branches, and it's just it like and like the smell is different. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like the night sky at night. It's the night in general at night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like thinking of what I'm trying to explain in my head, but yeah, it's there's something definitely a different connection than when it's, you know, that hot and sticky and
Mm-hmm.
like you're that has its own feeling and
Yeah.
thoughts to go along with it. But
You know, as you're describing that, what I'm thinking is like, because for me, in both experiences, it's a grounding moment for me. I can use that to ground myself. In the summer, when I'm hot and sticky, I am very much aware of like how things feel on my body or how I am connected to things, and that's grounding for me. In the winter, I'm not so much paying attention to what my body physically feels like, but I am paying attention to where I am in the environment. And that's
yes,
easier for me to find because the experiences are different, because the way that I hear the wind, or because the sounds that I hear, or because the things that I smell are different.
yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to like
Yeah.
concept. Yeah, it's like it's almost like you can connect more into you're connecting into the nature,
Yeah.
and then and when it's, you know, the hotter months, nature's connecting into you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. Like, if you said that to me, I don't know, a year ago, I would have been like, oh, sure, sure.
Okay.
Uh-huh. But now that I've paid attention more, yes, that's exactly what I think. And not that I wasn't doing these things before, but like maybe I wasn't as aware of that experience and like what it meant. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a pretty cool one.
definitely. I'm reading this book, which is going to be we're going to talk about this in a different episode, but that is based in Russia, and it's all in winter. It's almost 90% of it. It's in winter. And it's just like the way that the author describes being in that environment, and like the sounds and the smells and the way it feels and smells. It's like really cool to kind of, and you can do it. Like you're just like, oh yeah, like I can feel that. I
Yeah.
can, it's interesting. So
Yeah. I think it's an awesome thing to kind of just explore and play with a little bit, especially when we talk about like there's so many different things that you can do for rituals, that you can do for affirmations, that you can do for manifestation, that you can do for meditation, that you can do for, you know, any part of your practice. And being able to turn to the sky, I think could go either way, right? Like you can get really existential about it and what is the universe telling me in this moment,
right.
but you can also get really internal with it and what is it that I'm needing from this experience, or what is it that I'm interpreting from this experience. So
Yep.
yeah, so hopefully that piqued somebody's curiosity a little bit to get out and look at the night sky and maybe do some exploration of their own of like, well, what's your favorite thing to look at in the night sky?
Yep. Exactly. So until next time,
Stay
curious.